watching an ABC Action Weather Special. Safety in the storm.
One man who remembers very well the impacts of Hurricane Charley 10 years ago was our own storm chaser, Don Germais. Don now spends a majority of his time doing volunteer work, some of that for the American Red Cross. But Don still wants to remind everyone how important it is to hunker down before a storm.
I can't believe that it's 10 years already since Hurricane Charley.
This is what happens when a Category 4 hurricane.
It was a once-in-a-lifetime storm that turned into 4 in a lifetime in a matter of 6 weeks. I remember the roof peeling off the hotel. That's when I knew, wow, this is going to be one whale of a storm. I remember at one point, my photographer Tim Jones and I went out to shoot some exteriors, some video of the water crashing and coming up Charlotte Harbor. And we hunkered down underneath the highway overpass to protect ourselves from the wind and the debris that was flying. And that's the first time we'd actually used the word hunker down. I said, Tim, let's hunker down behind here and get some shots, and then we were protected. It was a very frightening experience. I didn't want to relive it, and I did 3 more times that one year. You can never prepare enough. We tell people all the time, get a hurricane kit together. We probably have 1% of our viewing audience that actually does a hurricane kit. They don't, but you really do need to be prepared.
You can go to abcactionnews.com/hurricane to see the important items Don keeps in his hurricane kit. And we'll be talking about the items you should have in yours in just a few minutes. So now the big question, is the Bay Area more prepared 10 years after Hurricane Charley? Bill Logan takes a look back and a look ahead with those working to keep you and your family safe.
It's a real challenge.
My annual conversation with Pinellas Emergency Manager Tom Iovino always comes down to this. Are we ready for the storm season this year, and how so? He says yes, but he also says we are the wild card.
People who don't understand what threat a hurricane poses aren't going to respond properly when the time comes.
Which is why he's reinforcing the rhetoric even as the county readies its new, really reinforced, capable of withstanding a Cat 5 hurricane EOC, just in time for the 2014 storm season.
The Emergency Operations Center we were in was actually the first one set up of its kind in the state. Back in 1985, after Hurricane Elena came through, the county opened up the existing facility that we used to have. This facility now will replace that. It's going to be state-of-the-art.
As will their messaging methods, which, as you may remember, have changed a lot in the last decade.
10 years later, we're still relying on our partners in the media to get the word out to folks. But we're also using the social media. We're also using different messaging techniques.
And that includes everything from Twitter to Facebook to directed messaging from the National Weather Service. But most importantly, by letting locals tell their storm stories on the county's web and video portals.
You don't forget those things. You know, it's hard to forget when you're truly impacted.
Preston Cook wasn't here in 2004. He was in Orange County Emergency Operations, taking care of a lot of Bay Area residents who fled inland. Now he may be the voice telling them to flee.
So that's what's so important, because if we say we need to evacuate, it's serious, and we want everybody that we tell to go. With 1.2
million residents in Hillsborough and another 800,000 in Pinellas, he knows the roads and bridges will be pushed to their limits with those leaving. Partial and voluntary evacuations in years past have already shown that the roads can get very snarled.
Speaking of evacuations, this EOC headquarters is going to be evacuated here from Hillsborough County in the next couple of years to build a new center over in the Brandon area, one that's Category 5 rated for all who end up there. But one thing will remain consistent.
When we say do it, know where you're going to go, know what you're going to do, have gas in your vehicle, do the simple things first, be prepared to take action, and we'll be ready to go.
Of course, we'll have a checklist and your evacuation information in our hurricane guide. We'll also have it online at abcactionnews.com. Dennis, back over to you.
Thanks, Bill. We've been taking in questions from Facebook, Twitter, and from my weather web chat. Here's a question from one of our viewers.
Hey, Dennis. My name's Chris from Palm Harbor. Going into the season, what are the best things we can buy to be prepared for a hurricane?
Thanks, Chris. Our meteorologist, Shay Ryan, took that question to an expert to find low-cost and even free ways to protect your home this upcoming hurricane season.
Bryn Johnson moved into her Pinellas County waterfront home last year and needs help preparing for hurricane season. So we called in an expert to offer ideas that won't break the bank.
How do we need to protect doors and windows?
If you're not looking to replace the windows, if it's a little bit out of your budget, there are a number of other options that we have. Hurricane shutters, polycarbonate panels, you can even put plywood over the opening, and there are different ways to do all of those things.
HurriGuard is rated stronger than plywood and is a lightweight alternative for window protection, but plywood costs much less. Just remember, if your windows are larger than a single sheet of plywood, it's time to call in a pro for safe coverage.
And if you're renting and looking for a way to protect your windows, there is a relatively inexpensive option.
Well, one of the best ways to do that without modifying the house, drilling holes or anything, we carry a Plylox clip. You cut your plywood to fit inside the opening, you put the clips on, and you basically just push the plywood into the opening. It requires no modifications.
Jesse also suggests checking the seals around your windows and doors each year for gaps. Caulking those areas is an inexpensive way to decrease the chances of water getting inside.
So what needs to be brought in and what can stay? We also happen to spend a lot of time in gardening and doing different things like that. Do we also need to move plants and our gardening supplies?
During hurricane season, I would recommend that all people keep their yard uncluttered. Anything that's, less than 20, 30 pounds can become a projectile in 100+ mile-an-hour winds. So it's either tying it down or putting it in the garage. Patio furniture, flower pots, even roofing tiles can be ripped off and can end up in your neighbor's house.
Cleaning up won't cost you a dime, and it could save you a bundle in damage repair.
And if you don't have enough room in your garage for all of the kids' toys and the plants and your patio furniture, Jesse suggests that you move the car out to bring those items in, because that's the safest bet during a storm. Shay Ryan for ABC Action News.
Thanks, Shay. Speaking of taking action for protecting your home, many of you have questions about insurance. Our Taking Action reporter Jackie Calloway has the do's and don'ts coming up next. Plus this.
I'm Wayne Shattuck, along with the American Red Cross, here at one of our viewers' homes to let them know and you know the one thing you need for this upcoming hurricane season.
You're watching an ABC Action Weather Special. Safety in the storm.